Years ago, Abby Drover was kidnapped and held captive for 6 months by her neighbor. She has never talked publicly about her ordeal until now. It took CBC Vancouver reporter Wayne Williams 9 years to convince Abby and her kidnapper to tell their stories. Tonight, they do.
To whoever this may concern, if I, Abby Drover, ever live through this, I will try to donate my life to Jesus Christ.
Abby Drover was 13 years old when she wrote these words.
He kidnapped me on the morning of March 10th, 1976. I also died, if so, after my 13th birthday.
She thought this would be the last thing she'd ever write.
P.S. If you find me dead, my killer is Don Hay of 1601.
Abby Drover scribbled her note, wrapped it in tape, and hid it deep in the lining of her boot. Her kidnapper told her he might dump her body in the Burrard Inlet. She wanted the note to be waterproof because someday she hoped someone would find her body and discover the letter. And finally the mystery of what happened to Abby Drover would be solved.
As far as I was concerned, when I wrote the note, my fate was sealed. I didn't see that I was coming out of that one alive.
But Abby Drover did come out of her ordeal alive, 181 days after she disappeared. Her abduction in the spring of 1976 shocked and frightened the people of the quiet little town of Port Moody.
A story of torture and starvation unfolded today after a 13-year-old girl was rescued from a filthy dungeon.
Her rescue 6 months later, and what she endured stunned people around the world. Now, 21 years later, Abby Drover writes another letter about Don Hay, this time to the National Parole Board.
My name is Abby Drover. I am Donald Hay's victim. I am writing to request information about Mr. Hay's upcoming parole hearing dated November 25th.
Don Hay has been locked up for the past 21 years for what he did to Abby Drover.
They've got their pound of flesh out of me. They've given me the opportunity to turn my life around.
So now he wants his freedom. Abby Drover sees things differently.
After 21 years, I'm still in my prison. I've got a life sentence. I'm still suffering.
Don Hay thinks he could ease her face to face, and he wants forgiveness from the girl he kidnapped, starved, and raped over and over through the spring, summer, and into the fall of 1976. Tonight, for the first time, they speak publicly about the ordeal, their life sentence. Abby and her family moved to Port Moody just before Christmas 1975. It didn't take her long to meet her new neighbor, Don Hay.
He seemed like a friendly fellow. He was the stepfather of a friend of mine, and that's how I got to know him. And we'd talk, or he'd let us go in the shop and watch him work.
Hay was a carpenter. He had his workshop in the garage, and he hid his secrets there. A 3-bottle-a-day vodka habit and a hidden room dug underneath the garage. March 9th, 1976. Hay gave Abby and one of his own stepchildren a ride home from school. He made sure Abby sat right beside him.
I noticed when he was shifting the gears in the truck, he put his hand on my leg, and I thought it was an accident at the time. A very bad feeling, but I thought, oh, he's my friend. I'm wrong.
The very next day, Hay persuaded Abby to visit him in his workshop. No one else was around.
And as soon as I turned to run, he grabbed me, just dragged me in there. I knew that I was in trouble. I didn't know how much trouble I was in.
Hay told her they were going to play house.
I didn't feel like I was in control. I felt like I was The best way to explain it, I was a big machine. My body was the machine, and I controlled it up the stairs, and I controlled it into the shop, but I didn't feel like it was a weird sensation.
Then the 43-year-old man sexually assaulted his 12-year-old victim for the first of what would be countless times over the weeks and months ahead. He handcuffed her and put a gag over her mouth and chained her to the wall. Then he went off to buy his stepchildren tickets to see the Harlem Globetrotters. When school finished for the day, everyone came home but Abby. Abby's mother, Ruth, Drover, knew her daughter's habits and knew when to worry.
I started getting panicky, and I phoned around, and the girls phoned around. We phoned the school, all her friends. Nobody seemed to know.
Ruth Drover turned to her neighbor, Don Hay, to see if he or his stepchildren had seen Abby.
How did you keep a straight face when the police were around, when Ruth was around, when you had Abby there? How did you conceal that?
I couldn't have done it sober. Well, it wouldn't have happened if I was sober.
When word got out that a 12-year-old was missing, the people of Port Moody mobilized. The police organized a massive search.
The plan was, like I thought they'd all think she ran away. And then I'd get her in her apartment somewhere, and she'd be my friend until I died. Like, I didn't realize the uproar.
You really thought, though, at the time that a 43-year-old man and a 12-year-old girl were going to be able to move out, move on, and...
Should tell you a lot about my mental state at that time.
This at his workshop. And during a recent renovation, the current owner moved the cupboard out of the way and discovered the hole was still here, that sand that had been used to fill it had partially settled. The room's half full of sand, but you can see the portable toilet in that corner, the edge of the bed, the pins in the walls where he had chains. And here there was a door with padding on it, and it locked on the outside. And when Don Hayes shut that door, this was Abby Drover's cell for 181 days.
After a couple of weeks, Abby decided she better start keeping track of time, and so began a daily ritual, marking the days off on her hand. Hayes stopped using the handcuffs and chains after the first couple of days.
McLennan Motors new and used car experience.
She left her radio on all the time. She wanted talk, not music.
The sales staff that both
I used to wish for some company. But then, as soon as I heard him moving the paint cans out of the cupboard, it all changed. My feelings for... the price of his company wasn't worth it.
And the price of it was sexual abuse, physical abuse.
Mental abuse. Some kind of abuse, always.
And within a couple of weeks, 43-year-old Donald Hay realized his 12-year-old victim was not going to become his friend, was not going to get an apartment with him. There was no turning back.
There's no way I could let her go and carry on with my life. And that was when I think I got suicidal. And I did attempt suicide twice while she was down there.
Hay ended up at the Royal Columbian Hospital in New Westminster. He says he left suicide notes so that Abby could be rescued if he died, but no notes were ever found. His suicide attempts, however, caught the attention of police. It wasn't the first time Don Hay's name had come up. Police were aware of his criminal past. He had a conviction for the attempted rape of a 15-year-old girl when he was 25 years old. And just before Abby's disappearance, he held his own stepfamily at gunpoint. And so began the process of connecting Don Hay to Abby's disappearance. After one of his suicide attempts, He then took off with his family on vacation, and while he enjoyed time away, life in Abby's dungeon became even more unbearable. Don Hay's holiday meant little or no food for weeks at a time.
Pudding, I remember pudding. Isn't that stupid? I don't eat it now, but pudding and ketchup and mustard.
Mm-hmm. That was it? Ketchup and mustard?
And powdered milk.
For a long time?
The last 6 weeks, basically. He came once, gave me Kentucky Fried Chicken, and that's all I ate in 6 weeks.
Hay claims he was in an alcoholic fog for most of those 181 days, but Abby's memories are crystal clear. They're seared in her memory, especially the week the light bulb burnt out.
That was very difficult because I could feel the bugs crawling on me and I couldn't see them to squish them or something. Scary.
For a 13-year-old girl, the fear of spiders overrode just about everything. So when Hay finally replaced the light bulb, Abby plugged the air vent to keep more bugs from getting in. Then the cell became damp, her mattress soggy. Hay stopped emptying the toilet, and garbage began piling up. Abby was losing hope. Convinced she was going to die in Don Hay's hands, she wrote the note that named Hay as her killer and tucked it into her boot. Then she considered ending her own young life.
He had left some pills. I forget what they were called, but they were a sedative. And he left some alcohol, and I considered taking those, and I considered trying to drown myself in the sink.
While other children were getting ready to begin a new school year, Abby marked off 177 on her hand. September 6, 1976. She should have been going into the 8th grade, but she'd been now held hostage in her dugout dungeon for 6 months. Abby was growing weaker. She hadn't seen Hay for weeks, but when he went down that night, something was different. Something was going to happen.
I don't think I'll ever forget the evening itself.
Sergeant Bill Reed and his partner got a call to check out a possible suicide at Hay's home. Hay had tried to kill himself twice before, and his common-law wife thought he'd gone to the garage to try it again.
We found the workshop to be secure, so we kicked the door in.
They were so close, but the cupboard door that led to the dungeon was shut,